Hi everyone, Zach here, and welcome to lesson 50 in this series on developing a survival game. Now, when I started this series, or started re-recording this series really, I asked people in my Discord, by the way, link is in the description below, and on my Patreon, also link in the description, about how they wanted me to address the procedural foliage. Now, as you know, having done the earlier videos, we've made our own version of our procedural foliage generator. However, there was one already in Epic. So we already had one provided by Epic in Unreal. And we can use both of them. And we're going to look at that. And this gives you a few different tools to use for your own game. So we're going to look at our own foliage generator, the procedural foliage generator, the just hand placing of actors, and the foliage paint mode to set up our island foliage. And we'll take care of setting up our island foliage fully in today's video. That said, this video and this series have been brought to you by my Patreon sponsors. And that said, fire up your project and let's get started. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the editor. In the last few videos, we've talked about different ways of populating our landscape. And today we're going to finally look at the last version. So let's get started. Let's go straight into actors, spawner. We have different spawning things in here. By the way, I might be doing some stuff between videos. I'll tell you what it will be, but it'll be minor things not related to any sort of mechanics. I'll just be cleaning up the island. Like I might smooth out some of these surfaces. I might change how that grass is, 'cause I'm not happy with what I did there, but it's all those little things that I've mentioned before that I'll do off camera. In addition, I might add in leaves that only spawn in shadows. So like we have in our foliage, for example, if you go to meshes, so let me just go back up real quick to meshes. We have this foliage, we have leaves. I might actually have these spawn in shadow using the procedural generator that we'll make today. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to foliage and I'm going to go to procedural foliage spawner. So I'm just going to do PFS and I will call this trees. So if you can't see the procedural foliage spawner and you haven't been able to see the other options that I was looking at in the last video, again, remember, go to editor preferences, search for foliage, make sure that the foliage, procedural foliage is marked as true, and you should be able to see it. All right, so here is this thing that we're looking at. Now I can't drag these out into the map, but I can drag this out into the map. And what it does is it creates a volume, very similar to the volumes we've created previously. This one works very similarly in regards to the fact that it has to intersect the ground for it to work. So let's make this a bit bigger. Let's just scale this out. There we go. Height doesn't matter as long as it's intersecting with the ground. Just gonna move it this way. Actually, height does matter a little bit. I shouldn't say it doesn't matter, but there we go. That should give me kind of what I'm looking to do with it. Let's pop this open. And here it is. Actually, I'm gonna just minimize it to this window just like this for a moment. I'm gonna take my tree 01 and I am first gonna hit this plus sign, then take my tree 01 and place it in there. If it will let me. There we go. With that done, I'm just going to move this to the side for a moment. I am going to scroll down with the generator selected in my editor, and I am going to hit re-simulate. And there it spawns in 4 trees of the same type, because it's only tree 1, at a particular location. Let me hit re-simulate again, and you notice there's no change, right? That's fine. We don't expect there to be. I'm going to bring this back over here, and I'm going to change this random C to, say, 666, because 42 made me think of just satire and things like that. And there we go. We get different trees spawning in. We have 3 this time spawning in. Let's change the key again to 12. I don't know why. I'm just picking a random number now. And there we go. It spawns in 2 trees at these 2 locations. Now, let's take a look at what else we could do with this. I'm going to reset this to 42, and we should get the 3 trees back, by the way, or 4 trees, whatever it was earlier. There we go. So let's pop open our AFT tree real quick. And I'm just going to, actually I'll delete this up here. What we're going to do is we have the procedural scale, that's fine. What we're going to do is change the clustering. We're gonna make this a bit smaller. And now let's go back here and hit resimulate again. And they're still fairly spread out. How many steps am I doing actually? That might be part of the issue. Let's just up the number of steps here to 10. And let's resimulate again. Now, it's giving me different options than what I'm looking for. So we're just gonna play with these settings a bit till we find what we're looking for. And we're gonna change this to say 5 seeds per step. Might be our collision radius that are causing issues. Let's do can grow and shade and see what that does for us, because we do have, there we go. So I was wondering what was going on. The shade radius is a bit large. So we're gonna lower this to say 200, and then we will resimulate. There we go, that is a little bit better. So you can see some of that parent-child thing. That's one of the children right there, I think, based on where things are at. Let's up the number of years to 5, or steps to 5. Let's resimulate again. And let's select this tree. These also here to be year 1 trees, actually. So I've done the wrong setting. I'm gonna put that back to 3. And give me 1 moment to look up what setting I'm looking for. All right, I've worked out the issue is a 2-part issue. It's the fact we're using actors. This tends to work a lot better with static meshes. And 2, you have to reload the map every time you do this. So I've just have updated our number of steps here, put in a little bit more distribution. I'm going to just add another key here, and then I'm going to select my keys. And first I'm gonna just do that. Then I'm gonna right click and do auto. I'm gonna take this second one and I'm just going to give it a slight growth spurt right around there. So I'm gonna put this at, say, 2 years, or sorry, not 2 years, 0.2. So it's 20% of its age, it's normalized. And just, again, rise it up a bit. That is not what I meant to do, but we're giving it a bit of a growth spurt. This is, hold this up just a tiny bit. There we go. So we have 1 growth spurt pretty quick, and then it steadies out and gets bigger over time. All right, let's just save this. What we're gonna do is bring this back over here. Let's go back to our spawner and let's add in another one of these. We'll do tree number 2. We'll actually do all 3 sets of trees just to see how this works. And do be mindful, again, the more you put in here, I really wouldn't put more than this in here. In fact, in theory, I'd only want 2 in here. Let's see what this looks like, and then we can start playing around on putting it in our island. So I'm gonna just go back in here and resimulate. And notice we have some issues to take care of. So really quickly, I'm just going to get rid of this. I'm just going to bring back in 1 of these at a time, or 2. We were done 1. I'm going to bring back 1 more, and we're going to play with the settings again. So let's do resimulate, and let's pop open this one. Let's reduce this to say 250. And then resimulate again. So the one that we're having a bit of a hard time with is our second Scots Pine, or not Scots Pine, our Hill Tree Tall. So our Hill Tree Tall, by the way, is, well, I think it's this one. That's Scots Pine Tall. Never remember which one the Hill Tree Tall is. There it is. So it's that one with the weird little jut on the side. So if we go in here and take a look at our trees, well, we can see that one is not spawning in. So let's just really quickly add can grow and shade and see what happens when we resimulate this time. All right, we have a whole bunch of them suddenly. They are much more densely packed in than the other ones. And also somehow much, much taller than I expected to be. So this is part of the issue with that procedural generator, is how sensitive it is to some of the settings. And a lot of these settings, like the can grow and shade, and these are very closely tied together. So let's just look at our first one here. And you know what? We're gonna just change the setting on this to 100 and do this to 100 as well. And we're just going to resimulate our growth. Oh, I am going to turn off the can grow and shade in both. So resimulate. And we are getting some of the tall mixed in there, so we are getting a little bit more variety. So that is how you can start setting up this generator. Now you might want to, expand it out, make it wider. Let's just move it this way. And then resimulate again. And look, we have more trees growing in this area. All right, so that's 2 tree sets in. Let's do our third set. So we're gonna add in number 3 here. And let's go back and resimulate. We suddenly lost a lot, so let's open up tree number 3. And again, let's lower the sound down to 200. This one is the weird one. So I am gonna wanna say a bit bigger than the rest. And there's one of them right there. And we're a little bit densely packed. It's up to you on how densely packed you want this to be in terms of making your settings work the way you want them to work. Again, I'm going to just expand this out a little bit this way now and move it there, and then resimulate again. And we're getting some nice variety in our trees in this area. Of course, they're all scale 1. For some reason, the random scaling on the actor just doesn't seem to work no matter what I do. I can get it to work on the static mesh with all the settings I showed you, but for some reason with the actors, it just is not as nice. All right, next what we're gonna do is we're gonna add in the 4th tree set. Again, you should be very careful about how many sets you add in. All right, so let's drag tree number 4 in there, and we're gonna run into issues. Just be aware, we have to play with the settings some more. So let's select our foliage spawner here and simulate. And, well, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, but let's pop this open and let's reduce this to 125. All right, with that done, let's resimulate. And we can see that we're getting clusters of similar trees near each other. I'm gonna change this down to 115. And there we go. We can also change, if you look at our first tree here, we have a lot more age on those trees. Let's up them all to 10. So this represents 10 years of growth. And there we go, we get different clusterings. Let's see what else we have in here. We have 5 per, so we're gonna get more of that one type. So let's do 5 here, 2 here. Again, you can mess with the settings until you find the right combination that you like. All right, with that done, I'm just gonna resimulate. I'm gonna control S save first, and then I'm going to resimulate everything. It's gonna take a moment because there's a lot of changes being done. Here we go. And, ooh, I'm not too happy with that one. We could give different trees different priorities. So we could say this is priority 0, this is priority 1, this is priority 2, and this is priority 3. We can change the spread of the clustering. So with 0, 3, I like that spread. With this one, I'm gonna lower this to say 25 and 75. With 0, 2, this will be say 75 and 100. And then I'm going to resimulate again. And we're getting different spreads on different trees. Looks like it's really prioritizing. So the priority is given it to all of this one. So I am going to change the priority back to 0 on all of these. So that priority setting is extremely powerful. There we go. And we can see that there are clusters of trees at different sizes. What I'm a bit concerned by is just want to make sure that it's giving me correct. Well, I guess they're all going to be stuck at these sizes. So we can see our hill tree there. This is going to be a hill tree, Scots pine. So we can see that there are different settings we can play with to set up our trees. Now the nice thing about this as compared to our generator is it will automatically put some in. Of course we have weird things like this happening, but that's not from our generator. So you can go ahead through the island, and what you can do is you can put in different amounts that you want to spawn in different areas. Notice though that what we don't have are the herbs spawning in. Notice that some of the areas, like over here, is really kind of empty. And I'm curious about that. So what I'm going to do is just really quickly try to paint some in there. Oh dear God, that's way too clustered, but it lets me know that it's working relatively fine. Again, we need to reload the map though, so let's go back to our maps. Just Control S, save everything real quick. And the reason why we need to reload, if you haven't noticed, those collision boxes are really small. And if you go ahead and hit play right now, you'll be able to harvest a tree, but you have to look down right at the base for that to work. So we're going to reload the map. Yeah, we'll allow that to save. I thought I already saved all. And when we do it, hey, we have the actual collision boxes properly working on our trees. Again, the scaling isn't quite right, but it is what it is. We could, of course, come in and just grab our spawner that we've created, and we can place this here. And let's just raise that up a little bit. And we will spread that out along that axis. Let me just grab my resource spawner, spread it along here. I'm gonna move it this way. And I'm gonna keep spreading it out and along that track there. And then I'm going to extend it out. And again, I'm going to extend it out this way a bit more, move it over, raise it up a bit, and make it a bit taller, because we do need to intersect the ground for this to work. Actually, technically, we don't need to intersect the ground. It will pick a line and then draw a line out. Let's add all 3 of our trees into this. Sorry, 4 of our trees. And this one will be our BP tree 01. And let's say we want a density of 10 for those, and we'll do a random amount. It will be between, say, 5 and 10 as our base amount. It's a tree type. We'll use random rotation. We'll use a lock XY. We'll set the X to 0.75 by 3 and our Z by 0.75 to 3. Actually, we could just use the uniform for that then, so we'll just use uniform. We will allow it to spawn on grass, and we can minimize that out. And we'll repeat this with BP tree 02. And again, let's say we want 7 of these types of tree. It is a tree type. We'll do 1 to 5. It will use random rotation. It is uniform. Again, I'm going to do I'll do 0.85 to 2.5 here, and it will spawn on grass. And then again, let's repeat this with tree 03. Let's say we want a density of, let's do the on 15 for now. We'll do this one of 2 to 6 at 16. 6. It is a tree type. Again, random rotation. We will use uniform, and this one will be 0.5 to 1 or just do even 2 on that one. Allow on grass. I'm going to double check that I put grass on the last one. I did. Okay. And then let's do our final tree here of BP tree 03. Not 03, is it 04? 04. BP tree 04. And let's do this one at 8 with an amount of 2 to 4. It's a tree type, use random rotation, and I'll use uniform again, and this time we'll go from 0.65 to 2.2 and allow on grass. And I'm just gonna move right here, select the spot right before my collision area, right click, and play from here. Now it takes a moment to load in, as we know, but now we can see our trees are spawning in. Of course, we're running into issues where they are colliding with each other, and we can hit F2 to turn off lighting. I'm not sure what tree it's telling me I can harvest from, so I'm just going to hit E until... I don't know what tree that was. Oh, it was behind me. Interesting. So I'm kind of curious why that did that. Again, I'm going to play from here. And again, I'm going to turn lighting off. You can see it spawns in different trees each time you do this. That's the other downside to our spawner, is not only do we have this sort of issue, we have issues where, for some reason, it still thinks I'm looking at a tree when I'm not. But hey, we have a bit of variety. So you can use this tool in different ways and as you see fit. You can change the settings. I think the 03 trees are a bit too big. So I'm going to go back to my resource spawner. I'm going to open up the second one of these, and I'm going to open up my scale X, and we're going to do this down to 1.5. And then again, I'm going to just move outside that collision area, play from here, and see what they look like. Turn off the lighting. This one does, again, the 03's always been problematic for me. I might remove the 03 from this list and then just hand place my 03's. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go to our spawner here. Let's select the 03 and we can delete the 03. And then again, just move outside the collision area or the spawn area and play from here so we can take a look from the outside and see what this looks like. There we go. We're getting some nice tree spawnage there. That's fairly random and will be random each time we load this in. And of course we can add more spawners in as and where we need. We have our large cluster from that spawner. So what you can go ahead and do is go through your island and just add in either hand placed trees, and I'm going to do that a couple of times. I'm going to go to my actors, I'm going to go to my items, I'm going to go to my, not equipment, to my resources, to my construction, and I'm going to take the tree 03 because I want one right there actually. And I'm going to rotate this tree. I'm going to rotate it that way, make it a bit bigger, and I'm going to just do this in 1.75 as well, by 1.75. The X and Y should actually be relatively the same. And I'm going to turn my lighting off just so I can make sure that it's colliding with the ground in the way I want it to. Yeah, it is. Can lower it down a bit more. There we go. And then I can look around, see how it looks. Gonna move it over to the side just a bit. There we go. And I don't like the fact that it's actually right next to another one of the same type of trees. But, so I'm gonna delete that actually. I'm gonna put a 04 in here. And again, I'm going to lock the scale on this. I'm gonna put this to 1.23. I'm going to, yeah, I'll leave it as spawned in. There we go. So I can go through my island and I can start hand placing trees where I want. I can use my spawners where I want. It's up to you on how you want your island to look. So I want a few trees along this line here. I'm actually going to take the 03 that I had earlier, put it there, rotate it out, create a nice little awning over that path. And yeah, I like that little awning. That's actually kind of nice. And again, just keep playing around with it. I might even use the random tree here. There we go. To create my foresting. But we have a lot of area to play with. I do recommend smoothing some of this land out. So I'm going to go over to my landscape mode. I'm going to go to my sculpt tool. I'm going to go to smooth. And I'm just going to smooth this area out a bit. Notice when I do that, it changes the rotation of that tree a little bit. So we are smoothing this area out just to make it a little bit more easy to place things. And also this will be useful for when we get into later parts of the series where we need to worry about taking care of being able to place housing and buildings and constructing for the player. All right, so we're getting a fair amount of trees built into this. I'm going to use the procedural generators, also the ones we have made, for placing our herbs so I can control the actual quantity based on difficulty setting of the game. Okay, so yeah, I'm just going to smooth this out a little bit more. Go through and set up your island as you see fit. Make sure to build lighting as and when you need. So I'm going to, for example, with what I'm doing now, put some more trees in over in this area, of course, because we have a lot of empty space. Probably going to want to be mindful of where everything is on my list of stuff, though. And I'm also going to want to organize this. So before I do anything else, I am going to start organizing this. And the way I'm going to organize it is I'm going to create folders for us to place our trees and things into. So I'm going to create one new folder called Foliage. And I'm going to move my resource spawner and my trees and my tree random into there. I'm also going to move the procedural foliage generator for trees into there. I might create a procedural foliage generator for other things as well. I'm going to create one called landscape. And in landscape, I'm going to put my landscape gizmo, landscape, and plane. not my light source. The plane is the water. We will be updating that later on though. Outside of that, I'm going to probably have one called lighting. Probably. I'm going to have one called lighting. And in lighting, I'm going to have my light source. There's going to be more in here down the road, don't worry. We're going to have our light importance volume, our skylight, and sphere reflection captures in there. I'm going to do one called sky as well. And sky is going to have more than what we're putting in right now, but it's just going to have the sky sphere for the moment. Sky is going to have our atmospheric fog, our exponential fog. You know, technically the light source actually will be in sky. So we'll move that down the road. I just don't want to delete the folder now. Player start we'll leave outside. But this is so we can see what we're doing and very quickly come in and find things and make changes as we need. I'm also going to put a tree where I normally wouldn't allow one. Actually, I don't want that tree. I want the 0-3 tree. For some reason, I really like the 0-3 tree as overhang for certain areas. And I want this one to tilt just a bit. And I'm going to grow that one up. And I'm going to put this at 1.2 for our X and our Y. I'm not a fan of 1.2, 1.25. There we go. Turn the lighting back off and see what that looks like. Yeah, I kind of like that tree there. Gonna go through and just do the same thing. I'm gonna actually use the random tree here. And gonna rotate this. I'm not worried about what it's turning into right now. I'll rotate it that way. And again, we're gonna just up the scale a bit. I don't want that tree. There we go. So we can start filling in our island with hand-placed trees and with our generators. Like I said, I'm going to grab one of the... Let's see, for right here, I'm going to do one of our generators. So if we go back to our actors, to spawner. Actually, I lied. I'm going to use one of our generators, but I'm going to just duplicate this one so I don't have to redo all the settings. So I'm going to select the red arrow, our X arrow, and hold my control key down. Oh, no, not control. Undo that. I'm going to hold my alt key down and duplicate it over here. Control just moves it slowly. And I'm going to shift the size of this so it fits nicely between the current trees we have spawned in. There we go. So we're going to get some trees spawned into that area using our procedural generator. I'm going to then come over to, say, I'm going to move another one of these generators that we have the auto generation for from Epic and move that over here. Oop, I did not mean to hold Alt as I re-clicked. And again, I'm going to resize this just a bit because I have to worry about the fact that it's overlapping with our current set of trees. There we go. And scroll down and simulate. So we're getting some tree growth there, and we're filling in our island with some trees. Now I'm going to allow foliage and see what that does. Change the tile overlap a bit. Probably due to this angle on the ground there, not allowing the trees to spawn in, but that's fine. We'll have a little bit of an open area there. I don't mind that too much. Going to grab our procedural generator again, and I'm going to bring it over to that spot right there. So I'm going to hold the Alt key down and just drag this over here. And I'm going to start resizing it to fit that area. And there we go. So we start to put our trees into there. And then finally in this spot right here, I'm going to grab the last generator we made and I'm going to bring it over there. So just let me re-angle the camera, hold the Alt key down and drag it over. Of course it's just a tiny bit too big. So I'm going to just shrink it down a bit. So we're covering this swath of land that we're looking at right now. Scroll down, resimulate, and there we go. We have a fair amount of trees. Now what I'm going to do is very quickly rebuild lighting and pause the recording while I do that. Alright, with the lighting rebuilt, remember to reload the map because again, if you're using the generators that we get from Epic, our actors, for some reason, the collision boxes don't properly spawn in. So we'll just reload the map, and we should then have a fairly foresty island. Go ahead and remember, we can't see the trees in the areas where we're using our generators. So just be mindful of that. And what we're going to do is we're going to just take a look around the island and hit play. Likewise, you should go through at this stage and start doing the generators, both the procedural ones from Epic and the procedural one we've created to put trees onto our island. All right. Not trees, to put our herbs onto our island. Oh, also, I forgot to say, smooth this out. There's some weird stuff like right there, and I'm going to just do this really quickly so you can see what I'm talking about. Right along here, smooth that out. I'm going to actually decrease the brush size for this to about 50. About 150. There we go. Because this is a bit weird looking with that sharp line in there. So I'm just going to smooth it out to clean it up a little bit, and then I'm going to right click at the base here and hit play from here, and then I'm going to take a look at what it looks like. Every time you do any smoothing, it does need to rebuild the lighting. Don't worry about that too much. Oh, that is so much nicer looking. It's a bit weird there, but I'm fine with that. But we have our trees coming in. We have different amounts of trees. I would still say go through and hand place trees where you want them. This one having some fun lighting issues. We'll take care of that down the road, though, once we get into our lighting and we can look at things more closely. But hey, we now have a somewhat forested island. I would take a look at the empty spots and consider what herbs you want to place there. And then, you know, for a touch of living, you might want to add in, say, I did not want to harvest a tree. I wanted to harvest the herbs. By the way, if you're having a hard time with the sugary herb, it's because the collision box is a bit small on those, to be fair. So just be mindful of that as you move forward. Sorry, I'm eating to keep the character healthy enough to walk across the island. But hey, we now have some really, really densely packed areas with different trees at different angles, so it doesn't seem so repetitive. And we can see our trees at distance. Again, you might want to add more trees in, give your island a bit more of a foresty feel. You might want to have less trees. It's kind of up to you on how you want your island to look. But this gives you a rough idea of what you can do. And as I said, what you should do between this video and the next video is play around with it. Sculpt your island out some more, change some things. I probably will be doing that myself between videos, and also putting in the procedural generators for our herbs. All of that said, that takes us through really what I wanted to show you in this video. I can't show you how to set up the island to your liking. That is up to you in terms of what you feel is appropriate. But what I can say is that you have all the tools, and you're going to need to use a mix and match to probably achieve the effect you want. And you might want to come in, and when you find things like this, you can delete a single instance. I'm going to delete that. I know where it's at because that's the start of the map down there. But all of that said, the series has been brought to you by Patreon sponsors like Rian, Hanas, Quadmenson, Connor, 1Volt10, and Galois. If you've enjoyed setting up your island, if you've enjoyed giving it a little bit more life and making it feel a little bit more immersive, then please hit that like button down below. It really does help the channel out, and it lets people know about the series who might not be aware of it. If you want to be here as we start moving on and going into adding more immersion, say with, I'm going to also probably delete that one, with say adding in water sounds, updating our lighting, then make sure to hit the subscribe and notify icon. And if you want to copy this project or want to help support this channel, consider becoming a Patreon sponsor. Patreon sponsors at upper tiers get instant access to all ongoing and completed projects. At other tiers, Patreon sponsors can get access when a project has been completed on YouTube. All of that said, I look forward to seeing you in the next tutorial, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.